Hi, folks. This is Chris Benini, Solution Architect with Device42. Today, we're going to be going through the integration between FreshService and Device42 so you can better understand how putting in change requests and tickets right within your FreshService instance, where you can leverage data that's being discovered and populated from Device42 all through an agentless approach, and then feeding that on a daily basis to the asset inventory section within FreshService. To get started, what we'll do is we're going to start from the FreshService side. So within FreshService, you have the ability to go right into the App Store and you can download the plugin for Device42. So it's a very simple process. You go into the settings option in here, you put in details that are all well documented on our website. In addition to that, you'll see that you can set this up on a daily sync, or you could run ad hoc syncs anytime that you want. And this is what helps keep that inventory or that CMDB or asset inventory within FreshService up to date, especially on a daily basis. As we go back to that dashboard, you'll see in here that I had an open ticket, and just for this demo, we'll walk through an example here. But here you have a ticket that you've created. What's nice about that is, as you go through your ritual process through FreshService, you have the ability now to assign different assets to the system. So you can even associate other assets. So maybe I want to look at another ESXi. Maybe there's another server that's being associated to that ticket. I can go in here, assign that that server, and you can see the different impacts. Again, this is all data that you're keeping within FreshService. But what's really nice about this is I can dive into that record. We'll start with this S1 MySQL. So just by the naming convention, you can tell this is running MySQL database. And there's some information right at the edge of your fingertips that you'll be able to get all from the integration. So you can see OS version. We can see if it's physical or virtual. And there's warranty information that we do collect. This is a virtual machine, but if it's physical, depending on the vendor, Device42 can collect data through those vendor APIs and pull in all your service maintenance contracts and warranty contracts, and then be able to keep track of that right within FreshService here. You'll also see information like the disk usage, IPs, UIDs. In fact, if there's multiple IPs, multiple NICs, you'll see all those showing up with a comma separated. We can even get into the software. So understanding what software, what versioning exists on the network, or on this machine, I should say, and then we can click on Chef, for instance, if we wanted to see what other installations that were detected that had that same particular version. Now, there's categories, things in here that you can mark as a managed software, as unmanaged. These are all different components that you can define in Device42. But all these different pieces come over. Even if you have contracts that are associated to software, you have the ability to store that in Device42, and that also gets pushed into FreshService here. Kind of backing it up a little bit, going back to that tab, again, more of that ritual process, but you can see all the changes, incidents that occur on an asset. So it's just treated like anything else on how it's populated within the platform. But you can also see relationships. So this is a really big piece. So part of what Device42 does from an agentless approach is discover communication on the network. So through services. So we can understand what devices are talking to each other, whether it's inbound or outbound activity. You can also build out business applications, and there's a process of doing that. But what's nice about that is you can now, if you're going through, let's say, a change request, or you're upgrading a server, or something happens and it goes down and you're reporting an incident, you can see the business application automatically that is hosted on this device. So I know the end of universe applications impacted, or business service here. I can select it. Maybe if I want to have a contact owner or app owner that I need to contact in the system, you could do that right from within FreshService. You can also see who's receiving the data, what devices are getting data from this device, who's actually using data from this device, and that's all based on the direction of that communication. If you open up a relationship map, you can see this at a broader level. So there's different, obviously, levels of communication. In this case, we're up to level 3. So we started at this first level, then you have your second and your third level. So this will be that remote client or end client that would be dependent or impacted, based on if this machine was to go down, or even if you're just doing, some planning and trying to be more proactive here. You can also see the business application, that association here, and then again, being able to get into the details of that business app. You can do that right within Device42, or I'm sorry, within FreshService. and then be able to do things right from here. Now, if I take a look at the top here, you can see there's a link where I can view some of the data that's coming in. It just gives you another option to see that different information that's coming over and being synced over. We can also look at the asset within Device42. So when would you do this? This is good if you want to dive a little bit deeper. Maybe you're looking at more than just a business application or service dependency. Maybe you want to understand what host something resides on, if it's a VM, or what PDU that device is connected back to, or a switch port. So this is all information that can be collected. We'll talk a little bit of how that's done. But here you can see the host relationship. Now, again, we're in Device42's application. So this is just kind of a smooth integration that gets you right from there with that link. And again, as long as you have access to that device, you'll be able to see this record, and you can see things like the CPU, the memory, the operating system version number. Anywhere that there's blue icons, it's all interactive. So you can select that to get to a page of that operating system, and then seeing all the devices that have it. You'll see several tabs in here, but if I wanted to look at what's the software, again, still being able to see that, but maybe I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and find out the running services on this machine. Or perhaps, is there any other applications it's hosting? Right now it looks like one business app, but then there's also what we call app components. It's just a way of how the Device42 can fingerprint what's running on a machine. You could also create your own templates that can be auto-detected through discovery based on a rule system. So if a service is found or software is found, it allows you to capture some of that information. But I can go in here and go to a topology, which is more like an engineering view of what's happening with that device. So similar to what you saw before, but now this is drilling down to the actual service. So we wanted to see what service devices are connecting through. Maybe we wanted to go another level up, just as we did within the FreshService application, but now we can see the web server and what service is actually talking to this Tomcat service here. Now, what's nice is if you go to the dashboard, this provides you a nice search window. You can get to anything within the platform here. So if we were looking for, that ESXi host, I can easily go in here and find that host, and then, and click on it, maybe a purchase order that's associated to it. We'll jump there in just a second, but here you can see different dashboards. So you have dashboards. This is what the Device42 refers to as Insights Plus. It allows you to view different dashboards based on, let's say a use case or a persona. So these are a lot of already out of the box dashboards that customers can leverage. We happen to be on this business application. So let's just say you wanted to dive a little bit deeper on that machine that's part of that business app and understand, what host does it reside on. You can see ESXi 004. We can also see a PDU, and we can see a network device. So you have these different legends here that help you distinguish those connections. So there's a lot of things that you can get right within the product here. So whether you're doing rack diagrams and room diagrams, there's a data center footprint all built within the product. But you have all these different dashboards that you can leverage. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the data table. So if we wanted to get to anything right from here, here you can see there's that ESXi host we were talking about that VM resides on. Maybe we wanted to get to the business app right from here, so we can get to the business application that was diagrammed within Device42 to have more of a canvas view that we want to build out and understand the different relationships. Or we can drill down into that VM that we were just in, and maybe we want to see, hey, this is the host that it's associated with. I'd like to also know, what ESXi version is it running, what other VMs are running on it, and just allowing you, to really understand that a full view of a problem. So whether, this is a way to help minimize MTTR, but essentially just know that, this is data that we're collecting that can give you more details than what you would also be getting, right directly within FreshService. Just to talk a little bit about how it's done before we wrap this up, it's an agentless approach leveraging industry standard protocols. So Device42 will go out there using WMI for Windows, SSH for Linux, vendor APIs, even, cloud support for all the major cloud providers, even smaller vendors like Alibaba, DigitalOcean, or Joyent. These are all things that can be that can be supported from here. You have all your compute can all be done through your hypervisors, NICs, and Windows Scan, and there's really a a big breadth of discovery that is supported. So if you have legacy infrastructure running older versions of Windows like 2000, even running HPUX, Solaris, mainframe, AS400s, these are all operating systems that are supported out of the box within Device42. Even getting into Kubernetes and container platforms like Docker, as well as if you go down under SNMP, this is where you can get a lot of your cloud your network infrastructure like firewall, switches, routers. Just leveraging a community string or SNMP v3 read access, we can pull in details right from there. Most importantly, though, as you click on any of these jobs, you can see here that you're able to schedule that and put that on a sequence. So as you run these scans, typically recommended to run at least once a day to help keep your inventory and information up to date within Device42. And then as you're synchronizing that data once a day through the plugin within FreshService, you're now keeping your asset inventory within FreshService up to date. All right. Well, thank you, and I hope that this has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for listening.